There is no billionaire in the entire world who owns 100% of the business they are associated with. None. Mark Zuckerberg, in terms of Facebook, in fact, let me just to be precise, Jeff Bezos owns 12.7% of Amazon. Elon Musk owns 13% of Tesla. Bernard Arnault, the one for Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, is the richest man in France actually. He owns 46% of LVMH. Warren Buffett, the renowned investor of Berkshire Hathaway, owns only 16% of Berkshire Hathaway. Larry Ellison, the one for Oracle, owns 35% of Oracle. Bill Gates, I talk to you now, all of you know Microsoft is owned by Bill Gates. He owns less than 1% of Microsoft. Coming to Kenya, when you ask somebody who owns Cooperative Bank, they tell you Muriuki, the CEO. He is actually from here, Nyeri. He owns less than 5% of Cooperative Bank. But what is 5% of Cooperative Bank? A bank with a market cap of around 20 billion Kenya shillings. 5% means he is going to over 6 billion Kenya shillings. 5%. Now you with your 100% of your business, how much is it worth? There is a friend of mine who is also my mentor. Can you tell me by a show of hand who owns Equity Bank? By a raise of hand, tafadhali. I'll pay something for that. Naona wakikuyu ni wengi hapa mkono. Who owns Equity Bank? Monga. Very good. He is also a good friend of mine. So hata nikimkute hapa, he will not be offended. Somebody else who owns Equity Bank? Yes? Mwangi. Can you start? Asita kuita hapa. Najua public speaking, you can't ambush somebody. Who owns Equity Bank? Please rise up, my sister. Who owns Equity Bank? Monga. You said Peter Monga. Now listen, my brothers and sisters. Mwangi, the CEO of Equity Bank, owns 5% of Equity Bank. And all of you told me he is actually the owner of Equity Bank. If you look at the financial statements of Equity Bank, you realize the top shareholders of Equity Bank are not Kenyan. They are fads, including Norwegian fad. Do you know Peter Monga now owns less than 1% of Equity Bank? Now keep your 100% of your business. There are many opportunities you can make money passively. They don't happen all the time. That's why I talked about study how the markets move, how the economies move, so that you know when to jump. For example, in Kenya, you have had a bullish market. Shares in Aeda Jew. But they don't go up like this. They go EV. So it's your work now. Go check the companies of your interest. Study. You'll see a lot of opportunities. Let me use two brands you know. KCB Bank, for example. KCB Bank is valued by the market at around 170 billion shillings. The valuation of the entire KCB. Last year, they made a profit of 60 billion. So if you bought KCB at your bank, it will take you 2.5 years to recover all your money using only net profits. Equity Bank, for example, also. Equity Bank is valued by the market at around 211 billion shillings. But their first half year up to 30th June, was 31 billion shillings. So they will likely make 62 billion 1 year profit. So it will take you, if you bought the entire company, less than 4 years. Proti Narumoro, Proti Kamuru, Proti wapi, hiyo Proti alafu unapigiwa simu, hemu duraita maiga haha. I mean, Then you have a home in hapa Nyeri, another one in Nairobi. Now, because you have money, you also want a home in Mombasa to be sleeping there over Christmas. And then the entire year you have a caretaker maintaining that plot for you. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Nimemaliza. I want to talk about just a few basics because I've started many businesses also. Just some basics we may note here, and especially those who said they are huge business people. I saw your hearts. You said you are doing very well in business, but for now it is in the mind. Just for now it is in the mind. One of the basic I have seen it is important. As you start a business, you don't start a business because the other person started. You start a business because there is a gap. Gap may be in terms of demand. Gap may be in terms of geography. It could be at the same product, it is somewhere else, but it's not yet in a geographical area that you are seeking to establish. That could also be a gap. Value creation. You can make money faster through creating value than through extraction. Many times you want to do business to extract money from people's pockets. And that is why you realize, and especially in a church setup, when you do business, you want people to sympathize with you because you go to the same church to buy you a product for that reason. That is not a reason enough. Just because I know you and you are my relative, you ought to create value. It is me who should be looking for your product. You shouldn't overconvince me simply by appealing to the soft side of how we know each other. That means there are some victims here. The other thing, bookkeeping. These things, they sound very banal. They sound easy. Bookkeeping. There is a story I keep giving all the time, and I'll give it. There is a time, me and my siblings, tukaenda nyumbani. Of course, we have a cow like all of you in Mashinani, or we had. So my mother anatembea Nairobi, siwezi lala hapa, nani atakamua ng'ombe? All the time anaumwa na mgongo, nini? Ng'ombe. So siku moja tukaenda, kamwambia madheka hapa chini, kuja na kalamu. Hebu tuone hii ukulima yako inakufikisha wapi? Unapeleka kwa dairy how many liters? These liters. Okay. Ukiendea, unapeleka dairy, then unaendea chakula ya ng'ombe kwa dairy. Hata hiyo arrangement iko hapa Nyeri. So you are given the net after wametoa chakula. Hiyo net unalipa mfanyikazi mwenye alikusaidia siku 2-3. Na unalipa pahali umekoboa, you have leased some land for Napier grass. After we did the math, we realized, I'm using that as a businessman. This is a businessman, a farmer, you can say now, in agro processing or something like that, to sound sophisticated. Now, after kufanya hesabu, we realized the M-Pesa we sent home to the mother, to my mother, we don't send her money. We said what? We said the cow. Only that we use her phone. Because after doing that math, it taught me one thing that we all do, especially owners of small businesses. We never track our progress. So we never know whether we are timing or we are making progress. And the best way to do that is to use data. Data could be in terms of number of customers served, in terms of bottom line. Me, I like looking at bottom line. After all is said and done, it is not if you are a person doing oil, your business is not to fuel other people's cars. Your business is to make money. In economics class, we say, it is not out of the benevolence of the baker that we enjoy our daily bread. It is out of their selfish interest to make money that we get Ken Blessed coming to our local shopping center every day. And in the economic interaction, selfishness is what bites the economy. You buy a matatu there seeking to make money, and me, I open a hardware seeking to make money. That interaction of the market is what creates the economy. So as you start your small business early enough, track progress so that you actually know whether you are overstaying in a redundant area for too long. Market. Many times we are limited by what we know in the mind hapa. But do you know now with internet, there is a lot you can do. You look at market, whatever product you come up with, and please, especially those whose businesses are in the mind, polish your ideas slightly further. Don't just do a business. You know, kuna business tu yani unafanya unaona, you need to think deeper. Especially those who have not yet risked or staked their money. Use more time to think than start. So that you first of all think about the market. The market may not be limited to where you already know and can see with your eyes. Study. I'm not saying you hire professionals to do that. Do basic, even with the internet. Those who are already doing business and you have some capital, focus on there is something I keep thinking about, and I also do. Look for businesses whose barrier of entry is high, almost blocked. The highest margins are in businesses that have got high barrier of entry. Barrier of entry may be in terms of knowledge. Barrier of entry may be in terms of capital. For example, if you had 2 billion shillings in Kenya now today, and you are talking about building a real estate in terms of flats, me, I wouldn't, because everyone can do that. For example, if you look at banking in Kenya, yes, the core capital was increased. It has been 1 billion shillings. But do you know there are so many Kenyans with that kind of money? That is already a niche where the barrier of entry is too high. So even if there are like 40 banks, they operate like oligopolies. And that is why you realize in Kenya, unless it is totally run down, few banks make losses. I'm just making that as a CASA. Look for a business with a higher barrier of entry so that you can enjoy longer margins or bigger margins. This is the other thing I want us to really interrogate. In my village, just like yours, my former teacher retires. The first thing they do is to buy a matatu. Or, hapo kwa shopping center yetu, anajenga hapo. Pesa ya retire. Karibu wote. What am I trying to say? Those businesses are good. They are good because they facilitate movement and they facilitate trading. But probably even my brother and sister in the same industry, there is much more they can do around there. What am I trying to say? Kenya is also a broad country. Yani kama huna we measure your success by how many plots you have. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Nikienda kumaliza. By the way, I'm almost finishing. Now, allow me now these minutes, because I can see here, next time, this one here, this is the lead sponsor. We would want in the next few years to come, the owner of this lead sponsor will be from this hall. And therefore allow me the remaining minutes, even if you do not understand what I'm saying, and I only talk to 2 people who will do that, I'll be satisfied. So if you do not understand the things I'll be saying, uniwie radhi. Because I would rather talk to 1 table who may actualize, become this, than talk to all of you and start small dots of businesses. And because we have brain and capacity to all be here, let in the next few years, there'll actually be an auction in this hall, all of us bidding to be this. I'm talking about how we must fashion ourselves in this hall to move from being net worth of $500,000, net worth of a millionaire, and because all wealth is granted by God, that we also break that ceiling. Those figures we hear of billionaires, we also aim. And number one, moving from that comfort, I'm trying that we move from that comfort of being a dealer for Oilibia or for Total, to being the Total yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. From being a dealer of Safaricom to being a competitor. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to talk about. Mumeanza kwenda chini mnauliza sasa huyu mtu ni vitu gani hizo? When you want to move to that level, you do not own 100% of your business. There is no billionaire in the entire world who owns 100% of the business they are associated with. None.